When it comes to working out your legs in a gym, there are tons of machines you can use to activate your quads and your hamstrings. You can do things like leg presses, you can do leg extensions, heck, you can even use a barbell to do a high bar squat. But what happens if you don't have access to a gym, you're stuck at home, and all you've got is a resistance band? Well, in this episode of Total Body Training, I'm going to teach you how to do a resistance band leg workout. Welcome back to Total Body Training. My name is Jean Carlos, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click the subscription button. On this channel, we go over fitness tips, trends, and tutorials to help you stay informed and get in shape. And if you enjoy the content from this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 different resistance band exercises for your legs. On with the tutorial. The first exercise is the resistance band squat. You're going to take your band and place your feet inside of the resistance band on one side of the hoop. You are then going to set up in a stance where your feet are facing slightly out and you're standing with your hips, your legs just a little bit beneath your hips, maybe a little bit outside the hips, depending on your personal preference when you're doing your regular squat. So just for future reference, the position of your feet should be very similar to where you normally put your feet when you're, say, doing a high bar squat or when you're doing a goblet squat. From there, you're going to take the band up and pinch your shoulder blades back, roll them back, holding the band at your chest in the goblet position like you would do for a goblet squat. And then you are going to come down and squat and then come back out of the position. You'll go back down again, squat, and come out of the squatting position. There are a variety of mistakes that you can make when you're squatting, but I'm just gonna share one, and that's not going low enough. I get people all the time telling me that I am going way too low on my squats. That is 99% of the time not true. So I'm eventually gonna make a separate video about squat depth and stuff like that, but as a USAPL coach, we like to teach people to squat all the way to depth, letting your hip bone, or what I should say, your femur not be in a straight line or not be above parallel. So a lot of people stop at the parallel position, or maybe they half rep when they're doing or quarter rep when they're doing their squats, they only go down a quarter of the way. The problem with this is that you don't activate the entirety of your quad and your hips and your glutes when you're doing this movement. So make sure you're getting a nice deep squat and you're coming back up. Now, there's no need for you when you're doing this squat to like compress all the way so low that you're down in this deep yoga squat, as I would call it, where your hamstrings are completely sandwiched against your legs. You just want to make sure that your hips are going kind of below parallel. Your knees are going, your hip is below your knee in this position, and then you're coming back up. That is the squat. The next exercise is a sumo squat. You're going to set up the exact same way that you did for the other squat. The only difference is that you're going to stand considerably wider, as you see me doing right here. Now, everybody's sumo stance is different, and everybody's preference for the sumo stance is different. So just make sure that you're standing outside of your normal range of your squat, and you're turning your toes somewhat facing out a little bit further than they were on the other squat that I just taught you. From there, you'll bring the band up the exact same way, and then you'll squat and come back up. You'll squat and come back up. Common mistakes with the sumo squat are pronating your knees. So what that means is that people will do their squat, and because they're standing wider, your knees are naturally going to want to buckle in a little bit. How you fix this is by externally rotating the quads and pushing your legs and knees out. So when you feel like your knees are going to dump in, try to create the sensation that your legs are opening up and pushing out as opposed to buckling in. This is going to help strengthen your quads. It's also going to strengthen your thighs and all the leg muscles you got. This feeling is similar to the feeling that you might get when you're doing one of those hip abduction machines. So those machines where you're sitting down at the gym and you open it up like that and you go like this, you open it up like that and you go like this, because you're working out the outer part of your hips and your glutes and your thighs. So if you're struggling still to do this movement, then you might consider doing that if you've got access to a gym, but you don't need to necessarily do that as a prereq to do this. I'm just saying that if it continually is a problem, that might be an option. But actually, more than anything, it's probably just the fact that you're standing a little bit too wide. So just play with that until you figure it out. The next exercise we're going to do is a stationary lunge. For the stationary lunge, you're going to take your band your resistance band, and you're going to place your foot on top of the resistance band. You could also place your foot inside of the infinity band, but in this situation, we're gonna place it on top. And then you're going to hold the band on the same side and the same leg. So if you're holding it in the right hand, you'll be holding the band underneath your foot of the right side. You're gonna grab the band with an underhanded position and then bring it up to your side so it's up close to your head, kind of like in a hammer grip up next to you. And then you are going to step back with your leg, and because this is a stationary lunge, you're going to go down with your knee and then come up. You're going to go down with your knee and then come up. Notice that I'm not moving my foot forward like you do with a traditional lunge. The stationary lunge version of this exercise requires you to stay stationary, to stay put, and creating a lot of tension in that quad, and that outer part of your hip and your glute is going to be the effect that you get when you stay there. Plus, I find that with the resistance band, you get more out of it with the stationary version. When you're moving forward and backwards, I find that you lose some kind of tension, but you're definitely gonna feel it with this. The most common mistake with lunges, all lunges, is dumping your weight forward and not activating your quads the right way or activating your core the right way. So as you see in this video, I'm dumping my entire body forward when I'm doing the movement. This is an extremely common mistake that people make when they're doing this exercise, so just make sure that you're actually upright in the movement. The last exercise is the conventional deadlift. This works out your hamstrings. People will frequently work out their quads by doing things like squats and doing things like leg extensions, but frequently leave out the hamstrings, the back part of your leg, out of the movement, which can create imbalances. So make sure you're throwing in deadlifts into your workouts. What you're gonna do is you're going to place the band underneath your feet. You're going to hold either end of the band with either your hands inside of the infinity hoop or with your hands around it like you're doing a hammer grip. You're going to bend over slightly, pinch your shoulder blades back, and you're going to hip hinge with this movement. So you're gonna be bent over, your hips are going to be somewhat low, but you're not really in a squat. You're going to come up using the strength of your low back and your hamstrings, and then go back down. When you come down, you only go to about the parallel position with your upper back. This is called a hip hinge, and you push your glutes back. When you're pushing your glutes back, you end up feeling a tremendous amount of activation in your hamstrings. Most common mistake when doing the resistance band conventional deadlift is rounding your back. So this would look more like what we would call a Jefferson curl, where you're trying to stretch out your vertebrae. It's not the right exercise, folks. The goal here is to keep your spine arched and to hip hinge and bend over at the waist. So when you're doing this movement, in order to get that proper activation in your hamstrings, you're gonna need to do what I call a Johnny Bravo chest. Roll your shoulder blades back, keep your body very tense and tight in the movement, and keeping the entire body, the upper body down to your hamstrings tight in the movement is going to help you get greater activation in your hamstrings when you're doing this exercise. So go ahead and grab the bands, arch your spine like your Johnny Bravo, and then bend over at the waist and keep it that way even at the bottom of the movement. And that does it for our resistance band leg workout. Question of the day: what is your favorite resistance band leg exercise? Personally, I really like doing resistance band deadlifts. Deadlifts are one of my favorite exercises in general, and it wasn't until I started learning more about resistance band exercises that I found out that you can actually do a really awesome deadlift using a resistance band. But what's your favorite exercise? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, and if you're enjoying the content that I'm making on my channel, please subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. All right, people, until next time, peace.